Yo, what is good? My anime faithful, what is good, yo? So, we got some interesting news with Seven the Deadly Sins. Um, I don't know what it is about this backstory that they needed to, stress for so long. But with it being, like out of the way now, it definitely feels a crap ton better knowing that I at least know what's happening. I have a decent understanding of what should come next. Oh my god, I'm getting shot in my back. Um, and I got an understanding of like where all of this is going to lead at the end of the day. So with that being said, I definitely need to look at this screen and figure out what the heck I'm doing. I just look forward to knowing why, uh, why the king and the giant king and the fairy king were put in these positions to, even have King and Diane go into the past. Like, what was their true outcome? We see that King actually does start growing some wings and stuff like that, so that was relatively a cool thing to see. But what does Diane get out of it? He just wanted to see, from what I can understand, is did he make the right choice? Was his choice not as bad as it felt by joining the Ten Commandments? And that, there's only so many different ways that you can live your life in his eyes, right? Like you can't live your life a giant and run away from a fight. That's just one thing you can't do. And because that wasn't an option, by doing it, that's how Diane wakes up, which I think it was pretty hilarious in its own right, just because I I honestly did not expect it to be such a dark matter. Like they're literally going into this talking like, "Oh, I put her in this knowing she will never be able to get out." Like that's kind of messed up. um, I mean, it's kind of messed up for how this show has kind of been giving us information and putting different things in perspective for us. And if I'm sitting on cutscenes or like screens like this for a long time, it's because I'm doing co-op with the homie, helping him out level up, and we're gonna be playing some God Eater 3. So if you got it, definitely playing with your boy. But with all of that, there's so much that kind of puts me in a position to be like, okay, so if Meliodas was this way back then, what is going to continue, what's going to change Meliodas, right? Like what is something that by all of this happening with all this information we're getting, what changes anything in the real world, right? Like from Meliodas's perspective, just by him looking at Diane, yeah, and not so much King, seeing how it was more of the obvious, but seeing her and seeing, just the way she was reacting in general, he could tell that uh, something had changed about her, So it's stuff like that that's really a touching thing for Meliodas' character because even though he doesn't seem like he's always like paying attention or have a good idea of what's going on, he actually does, and he actually does care about his members. It's just that he overall is getting more and more uh, unlike himself, right? Like we literally saw his reaction to killing something that he was never like really happy about before be something that literally gave him excitement and stuff. So that's a good way for our characters in general to be growing and us learning more about them. But because it kind of comes to the perspective of the viewer, some people may think this is always how Meliodas has been, right? This nothing's changed. He's always been like this. We just never saw this side of him, you know? Like there's different ways of looking at it, and the way that I kind of saw it is there's some stuff you just can't hide anymore, or there's just some stuff you can't really continue to go through with, and because you go through with it in such a way, or because you carry weight and all this information on yourself, and he's never really told anybody what happened all that time ago, maybe besides like Merlin or something, like there's not a lot of people who were alive all the way back then, and because of that, it's just how it is, right? Like no one could understand where he's coming from. You would kind of be like, this happened to me, this and that, but do you guys understand? Like, knowing that you guys were there, but this is how it went down, But who actually can tell him, like, oh, yeah, that sucks, and I can relate, and all this and that, when none of them were ever in that position or ever in that time. And now that we have King and Diane's perspective from it as just fans, we can say, okay, he was going through this, and that, and the angels were more of the devilish people compared to the actual demons, right? So there's different ways that the story is pretty much telling us everything that we know may be a lot more different if certain aspects weren't in play, but at the same time, it doesn't matter because everything that's happened in the past is stopping a lot of the future from being able to go forward with things. So I love Seven Deadly Sins when they actually have these very powerful like storytelling points, and it just feels like because of it, the story, the overall world, like learning about the angels and the devils, everything kind of just grows because of this little bit of information from the past. It doesn't just feel like something that they're using as a plot holder so they can, then waste as much more time that they can and slow down the show. It actually, holds some jeopardy. It holds some real stuff that actually helps the story grow as a whole. And I like that. But overall, though, let me know what you guys are thinking about Seven Deadly Sins. I mean, this did last quite a bit, but even though it did, it was still nice to watch, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't the worst thing ever that came out of the story so far. Like, it still had great parts. Not only did it have great parts, there's characters I wanted to grow that grew from it, with King and Diane. I don't really care about Diane growing. She's already too big. No, sorry. Um, she could have gotten stronger, like the whole dancing aspect, and not really dancing to fight, but dance to actually have a better advantage to be able to dodge, to do a lot of stuff other than just using it in a battle sense. So I like to know if that helped her understand her place in fighting and stuff like that as well. But overall, though, yeah, Seven Deadly Sins is definitely becoming better with more stuff being put into it. The only thing that was really surprising was learning that the person who probably lost his life to the previous Fairy King came back as this dog and has been watching over his sister even though he was gone, not doing it himself. So it's stuff like that that really drive home that there's so much going on with this show that's little that you may never have thought about, because of the character, because of how the person that's always acted. But then when you think about it and you see how everything fits together, it really is a sight to behold. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing one. I will definitely talk to you soon, and definitely let me know what you guys are feeling about this. I have been enjoying myself watching, and I hope you guys have as well. So yeah, a lot of videos coming out, but I wanted to at least drop these ones somewhat apart so you guys didn't just get all of these videos shoved down your face. At least you got a little bit of time in between. So with all that being said, take care and peace.